Hello again, everyone. This is Ken Kibler, Director of Training and Client Business Support for eTruck Biz. We just hit the top of the hour and the attendee list is growing rapidly. So if you can sit tight for a minute until the attendee list levels off, then we will get going. All righty, the attendee list seems to have leveled off. Once again, this is Ken Kibler with the Director of Training and Client Business Support for eTruck Biz. I want to thank everybody for joining us today as we cover some of the same subjects with the volume, the trends, as well as productivity, as well as give you some tips today on dealing with driver resistance as you speed forward towards peak. So as always, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or the Q&A. And without further ado, I'll turn this over to Jeff Walzak.
Okay, thanks everybody for being here. And we know it's a busy time. It's getting busier. We need to make sure you all know eTruck Biz is not endorsed, sponsored, approved, or otherwise affiliated with FedEx Corporation. So let's look at the volume trends. Pickups. Now there you go. That's the way to hang in there week to week. Volume, at least on the pickup stop side, looks to be hanging in there. It's a really good bounce back from where we were. That's good. Over on the delivery side, now there you go. Delivery stops way up there. In fact, the highest level of the year right now. So that's good. That's another good thing. And then look at those packages. Very strong on the packages side. Excellent. Very good. So productivity, we always look at that. Routes dispatched. Uh-oh. That may not bode well, but no, that's good. Productivity is coming back a little bit. That's a good thing. All right. So a lot of good things on the volume side of the house right now. That's a good thing. And as we always ask you every week, do you know your easy number? Easy number is the average number of stops per dispatch you need to achieve your financial plan. Your financial plan, as some of you have gotten from us, is how much you're budgeted or how much you're planning to make, how much you're planning to spend on the different parts of your business. Do you know where that is? It's right there in your boss system, right there in the upper left-hand corner. That's the goal. That's your goal. That's where we need to get to make sure we're making all of our monetary goals and whatnot. If you have gone through one of our budgeting expense plan sessions, that's good. You'll have your easy number up there on that front page for you. Just so you know, we always say, does FedEx calculate your easy number for you? The answer to that is no, they don't. So they provide any kind of budget or expense plan for you. No, they don't. Do they care? They might care, but they don't care enough to map out your expenses for you. And that's what that's all about, right? So if you want one, stay tuned. Miss Becca will be here at the end of our presentation to tell you how to get one. So in the news this week, welcome to peak 2024. So as we just saw, some of the volume seems to be finding its way into the operation. right? So first, and as usual, it's the high package count commercial stops that come in first. So what's happening, you might have seen it already, and if you haven't seen it yet, you're about to. Folks are going to start seeing lots of packages, right? Not necessarily stops yet, although we saw some in the volume report there. A lot of packages starting to come in because they're going to commercial stops, right? They're going to stores so people can buy stuff. Then the next wave of peak is going to be the high, lots of stops, low package count stops. Those are stops going to people's houses, going to deliver presents to wherever they are. So that'll be the second wave, and that'll be it'll be a very hectic time as well. So it's starting to happen. And as it happens every year, the appearance of lots of boxes does what to folks, right?
Makes them a little nervous.
Just see a lot of boxes, boy. Oh, look at all those boxes. So lots of boxes on a dock is what is known as package pressure, right? And if package pressure, people start freaking out a little bit, even though we've told them for months, you've talked about peak for a while. Everybody's been talking about peak. It's coming, it's coming. Until you actually see those packages, then becomes a reality, right? So it's a good time to see how service providers are able to get the peak performance they need out of their teams. So how are some service providers able to get their drivers to cooperate when the package pressure hits? So what do we mean by cooperate? How do you get the drivers to come in on time? That's a big deal, right? Some of you know you have drivers that they just come in when they come in. That's great, but how do you get them to come in on time? How do you get them to stay out there and get it done? That's another thing. That's actually harder to do, to get them to come in on time. Is how do you convince them that they need to get everything done every day? Another thing that is very important, especially as peak hits, is how do you maintain the needed stops per on road hour? So it's one thing to get them to come in, it's another thing to keep them out there, but it's of utmost importance right now to maintain a level of productivity that's going to get you through peak, right? How do we get them to not miss pickups? So they got package pressure, everything going on. What's one of the things that sometimes goes to the wayside, and it shouldn't, but people start figuring out ways to not make pickups. That's cardinal sin. And overall, even with package pressure, how do we get them to stay safe, right? It's not time to start running around out there driving fast, doing stupid things that you don't have to, as long as they maintain their stops per on road hour. So how do you get them to do that kind of thing? Well, at this point, fourth quarter, right on the doorstep here of peak. In fact, it might already be starting. It's too late to set their expectations. Their expectations have already been set. It's too late to provide training. You're going to train them now. Now you got to put 25% more stops on the truck. It's hopefully if you've trained them for this point. So it's a little too late to try to jump in and do that. It's a little too late to recruit for peak. Although you never stop recruiting, right? So at this point, if you're trying to, well, I need to hire folks for peak, you're not going to get them in there, and they're not going to get ready to go in 2 or 3 weeks. They might be a stopgap, band-aid for something, but right now, what you need to do is take your team that you've got, and let's see if we can get through peak with these folks, right? Right now, drivers, even experienced ones, are looking to the leadership of the company to set the tone, right? Where are we going? What are we going to do? How are we going to get this done? So here are some ways that service providers do that. The first thing that service providers do well to get through peak is they explain things very well. They communicate with their drivers, right? Drivers want to know what's going on and what needs to happen. Now you'd think, well, they all know that. No, you can't over communicate this. Peak is you want to communicate that peak is the busiest time of the year and millions of people rely on FedEx to get things where they need to go. Right? Obvious, but that's what they're there for. They're there to make sure everybody gets what they're supposed to get on time. And your team is a big part of what needs to happen at this time to execute on the little things so that the big things take care of themselves. Right? People want to
Yeah,
know where they're paying. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
little thing is stops per hour. Because if they maintain that stops per hour and they do it for, if they used to do it for 6.5 hours a day, now you're going to ask them to do it for eight hours a day or 8.5 hours a day. So do the little thing, stops per hour for 1 hour, 2 hours, all the way up to 8.5 hours. And then, can you explain that or use a new term, peak explain, what it means for your new drivers. So.
Okay. What else do we need to tell them? What do you expect from them? So what we said, how can you get them to do certain things? They need to know what you expect. They need to know if you can tell them, hey, I expect you to be here 8 o'clock. It's peak. You got to get here at 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever the time is, 7 o'clock. I don't know, whatever time it is that you have that's optimal for your operation. You expect that. You expect them to stay out late and get things done. You expect them not to hit a mailbox. You expect them to watch what they're doing when they're driving the trucks. They need to, they want to know. They want to be told what you expect from them. That's got to come from the leadership of your company. You guys that are AOs out there, yes, you're going to have to talk to your drivers. They want to know what you expect. For sure, they want to know what you expect. You need to get everybody on your team to be on their game. Remember, we're not going to trade for extra folks at this point. The trade deadline's over. It's fourth quarter. Got your team. It's time to make your team perform. They also want to know why you need to do what you need to do. So one of the reasons, I've heard people say this is counterculture or whatever you want to say, but why do you have to do what you got to do? So everybody knows that the increase in peak volume is a yearly occurrence. The thing is, it's usually short-lived. It comes around for about a month and a half. So there you go. There's peak. So a lot of people say, well, why do we get crazy about peak? Why don't you just be able to do peak volume all year long? Well, it doesn't make sense to increase the size of your business just to handle peak. And what that means is you can't run peak number of dispatches. You can't do the same things you would do at peak in, let's say, February, January. We looked at the volume before, and that volume, it's here right now, but watch what happens in January. It's going to drop like a rock. You can't run the same amount of trucks you do now in the middle of January because it doesn't make financial sense. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Anyways, you just got to tell folks, communicate them, tell them why you're asking them to do what you're asking them to do. They want to know. It's also real important to have what we'll call daily, weekly drumbeat communication, right? So, and what this means is the folks, you tell them what you expect, you tell them what you want them to do, but they want to know that you're watching what it is they're doing. They want to know how the team is doing. They want to know how you think they're doing, right? It's all another huge part of communication here. People really do want to know how they're doing, and they want to know especially what you think how they're doing. So you got to make sure you're telling them, and not once, but every day. So we can help you with this if you need help with it with the OPP program. If you're interested in that, you can talk to you can book a session with Becca, or talk to the boys, Ken or Bob or whatever. There's a method, there's a way to do this. All right. The second thing is, believe it or not, listen. Listening builds trust with others by showing you care about their perspective and gain a better understanding of someone's point of view. Right? So we're telling the drivers what we want them to do. We're telling them what we expect. We're communicating at least that way. But the drivers want to know you're listening to them too, right? They're going to want to, I'm not going to say the word, but they're going to want to complain about certain things. And yeah, you can listen to them. Doesn't mean you have to agree, but it just means you want to listen to and make sure you understand their concerns. Listening helps resolve conflicts and misunderstanding. And guess what? A lot of that happens during peak, right? Somebody's gonna say, well, I told you this was gonna happen. I told you that was gonna happen. Whatever. Did you listen? I don't know. There's communication is both ways. Telling folks and listening as well. And we learn a lot more by listening than talking. The third thing, and we kind of already said this, but this is real important right now. Share your team results, right? Everyone likes to keep score and know how they're doing. If we're trying to play a game, or we're on a football team or basketball team, whatever it is, do you keep score? Hopefully you do. When you do keep score, that keeps everybody trying to make sure that score is in their favor and whatnot. But your folks want to know what's going on, right? There's many ways to do it.
No one,
Oh,
Jeff.
yes, sir.
Hey,
Yes.
no one wants to be last. You post it how everyone's doing all together as a team. You want to have the team score and then have the individuals underneath. But no one ever wants to be last. So you can gain, efficiency just by posting that and sharing that with everybody. And you're not out to embarrass anybody, but everyone needs to know how everyone's doing.
So there are many ways to do this. Many find the daily scoreboard from eTruck Biz, the eTruck Biz Optimized Performance Program, a good way to do so. If you want to take a shot or take a look at what that is, you can have this sent directly to your email, or some folks choose to have it to go to the driver's email. And if you look on here, it shows you the top 5 drivers, how they did yesterday or whatever the date range is, watches your volume, what's going on. This is a fantastic way to make sure this is happening. And again, this can happen through the OPP program. And if you want, we can email it directly to your drivers. So another thing is, okay, let's say you're winning the game. You want to make sure that you're praising folks. So you want to, at the first pass at this, you want to recognize the really good performers, but you as the BCAO, you need to know how everybody's doing. And if you look at this particular graph here, these folks are ranked by SPORH. Anybody want to tell me what that means?
Stops per on-road hour.
That is completely critical, not only during peak, but as you get into Network 2.0, you're going to see how this is critical as well. But we're ranking the folks by how many stops they're able to do per hour. Yes, everybody's got a different route. Everybody has different abilities. Fantastic, but it has to be measured, right? There's a great way to do that in the system. So, and again, this is highly effective and it doesn't cost anything just to get the numbers out and take a look at what's going on. And last thing is incentives. Okay, here's where a lot of folks are going to disagree with me for sure, but it's not all about paying everybody for every single thing they do. As a general rule, incentives, especially those geared towards individuals, absorb an inordinate amount of operating margin. They do not encourage team goal achievement, which benefits the business and bottom line more than rewarding individuals. And I'm not saying not to reward your individual efforts. That's fine. I think, at least, and I don't know who else might join me on this one, but if you can reward the team, I think you're going to get more bang out of whatever buck or whatever you do for the team than you do out of rewarding an individual. We see it all the time. We do all kinds of financial analysis, you name it, look at all kinds of ways people spend money, and it just doesn't make sense to me how there are any number of ways that folks are taking their margins and giving it to the drivers. So heard one yesterday. If you stay out past 6 o'clock, you get an extra $20 per hour you're out past 6 o'clock or something. I don't know what it was. On top of whatever else they're getting paid. So, okay, you want the folks to be out there, but you just, if you want to be able to pay your bills, you can't do stuff like that, right?
They have to produce revenue and enough revenue before, during, and after 6 o'clock if they're going to be out past 6.
Right. It's just, it's, so anyways, it says we advocate for team goals over individual ones at peak. Oops, always. I think if you can set some goals for your team and if the team achieves those goals, okay. You want to reward that makes sense. So in summary, communication in different forms is the biggest key to getting drivers to cooperate at peak. That's what they want, guys. I don't know how many peaks, I mean, in different roles for sure, but that's what you got to do to get your team to perform. You need to cooperate with them. They need some expectations, what you expect, and then they want to be monitored and shown how things are going, right? So just ask yourself, do you have a consistent, and that's a key too, to do it consistently. If you do it for one day, well, that's good. It's better than no days, but the folks they want to do a good job and they want to see that somebody's recognizing them, that they're doing a good job, and they want to see it every day. Okay. So, Miss Becca, do you want to tell us a couple things here?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, so most will make it through peak. And then will come the time where you have to face Network 2.0. So that's where a new set of challenges awaits. But I mean, there's no doubt that the service providers will conquer the operational and logistical challenges. We know that you can get through this, but could use a hand with the distractions of solving the new administrative and financial challenges that will be coming with Network 2.0. So what we've created is the business support system, which will help you throughout this transition. It's here to solve your administrative and managerial challenges that are coming up due to Network 2.0. And this will be at a fraction of the cost of adding unbudgeted staff. So basically what that means is how we have been having all of these sessions where we are coming up with we're forming the budget and financial management plan for you guys. We can prove how we can solve this problem and do these services for you. And it's just right into that budget and less than what they're budgeting you for. So what the business support system includes, one section, there's 3 different programs. The first one is the Administrative Services Manager program. This is going to focus on your admin task or your non-revenue producing tasks. So an example of this would be we would take over your payroll, driver recruiting, complete your monthly maintenance reports each month, things of that sort. Then this also includes, we have the Optimized Performance program. This is going to focus on the operational side of your business, focusing on that revenue producing task. We want to maximize your productivity and efficiency. And then lastly, there is the Expense Management program. This is going to focus on your expenses, keeping track of them, help with upcoming negotiations, and accounting services as well. So basically, we want to simplify your payroll, human resources, benefits, recruiting, finance, productivity, taxes and accounting, time tracking, and so much more, which I am happy to go into detail about each one of these programs and explain exactly how we would help with this if you wanted to book a session or an appointment with me. But these are personalized services needed for you to help handle the Network 2.0 that's coming up. And I know that, right now it's very busy for everyone. Peak is starting to happen, volumes going up and whatnot, but Network 2.0 is right around the corner, and we really have to get a plan in place to help overcome that transition. So you can make an appointment with me. You can email me, Becca@etruckbiz.com, or if you go to the asm.etruckbiz.com, my calendar will populate, and then you can go directly on there and book that session. And then I will reach back out to you just to get a little bit of information from you, see what areas that you would like to have more information on. If you do want that budget and financial management plan, I will need some data from you. So I will get with you, but that is the best way to book a session with me and get things going.
Very cool. So, Ken, is there any questions
Becca,
about communicating with
Jeff?
folks? Yes.
Hey, real quick too, with the OPP program, now I do the veteran coaching, and with all the clients that we've got, there's times where I'm looking at a session and seeing if someone's wearing a seatbelt or seeing if they're making a complete stop. And there's times I'll extend the video and I'll go deeper into the video and take a look. You wouldn't believe the amount of times that drivers are all the way through their van and not delivering shelf 1, 2, 3, 4. The lost productivity in the back of the van is substantial. Please get your new hires coming in. Get them in your trainers. Make sure your trainers are delivering the correct way. Shelves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It will save you money in the long run. Your new people coming in, you may not be able to change your old habits, but your new ones, you sure can. Do that. It will save you money. It's horrible on how much time is wasted. Makes me want to just throw up. But that's all I got.
How does it really make you feel, Bob?
Oh my gosh. I toned it down a little bit.
Right
And
now, there are no questions,
you,
Jeff.
with your vetters, get in your vetter and look at the extended videos. If you don't believe us, look in. I guarantee it'll make you throw up too, because it's just horrific. Off my soapbox. Until next week.
Well, now that we got Bob all fired up, But he did bring a good point, and then it does go into what Jeff said about the little things. So if you can train the methods right, guess what happens? Now you can produce the most stops per hour. And then can we get that person to do the stops per hour for the extended period of time? So now all of a sudden, all those little things with the methods have taken care of the total stops per day because I've explained the need for them to be on the road longer and you know, and once again, then the team will accomplish that if you've done it and you've rewarded the team performance. So encourage everything that Jeff said here today. And as stressed, it starts with the little things. And as Bob said, section 1, section 2, section 3, section 4, slide them up 5, 6, 7, 8. And that's how you do it. And to get the teamwork, that you need in the financial results, will it mean putting some bulk on some drivers as well? Yes. Can I spread out that bulk? And on our next visit, that's going to be a challenge in an operation that we're going into because it's a smaller operation. And if I add one truck to a 10 truck operation, it's only 10%. If I add one truck to a 5 truck operation, I've just increased my cost by 20%. So those are the things that you got to look at. So start with the little things and communicate, communicate, communicate. It will do you wonders through peak. That's all I have, Jeff. That's my soapbox.
Okay, so if there's not any other questions, once you get back at knocking at Peak's door.
Yep. So we will be back here again. Oh no. Yep, next Tuesday, which will be 2 days before we eat and eat and eat on Thanksgiving. So please continue to have a safe week. It will be challenging as the volume grows. Do not give up on the methods. Make sure your drivers don't get sloppy on their methods and their safety. You want everybody home safe for the holidays. So please have a safe and productive and profitable week. Thank you very much.